How are you doing this beautiful morning? Yes, I know you're doing fantastically well because it is Easter holiday. Good Friday. All right, this is your number one reliable and trusted dial, Mila 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. It's Easter holiday today. Well, I'm happy. There's a holiday for us. Definitely always committed. That's the call of duty for us to always keep you updated, just to keep you, just give you content, great content, reliable, trustable content at every point in time, regardless of the day, whether it's holiday or not holiday. So it's Easter holiday today, April 18, 2025, the most important festival in the Christian calendar, actually celebrating the death and resurrection of Jesus. So while today is Good Friday, commemorating the execution of Jesus by crucifixion, the takeaway of this season, which everyone has been talking about, is ensuring the sacrifice counts by not just speaking about the message of love, of kindness, of forgiveness, unity in your home or you are abroad. Welcome to Trends in the Papers, your trusted source for news, for insights and in-depth analyses. I'm your host, Mudu. You're enjoying the holiday, break down the big stories, and explore the issues shaping our world today. So stay with us as we dive into facts and hear from our in-house analyst as always, Side Forward, and give you the full picture, because informed minds, trust me, make better decisions. And that's why we need to have profound conversations that will move the country forward at every point in time. If you haven't joined our online community, just to remind you of that, you can do well. Don't sleep on that. Join our online community to get updates, to get more content, and enjoy the content that I'll put out there. And you can also join us live on Facebook this morning to join the conversation live, an audio visual experience this morning on Facebook and YouTube at Mila 98.3 FM. You can, regardless of your location, also have this conversation together. Side Forward joins us as always to give insight and perspective to the issues and the headlines. Welcome on board once again. Trends in the Papers on Mila 98.3 FM. Modukbe Akinyosoye is the name once again, and joined by Side Forward. Good morning, Side Forward.
Yeah, good morning, Lady Mo. How are you doing?
I wish I could be on holiday as well. That's how I'm doing. But definitely, it's always like a pleasure to do this and growth together, collectively in Nigeria. But why you want to react to that also, just to be fair enough, because during Ramadan fasting, we talked about the essence of the fasting, not just, participating. So just to be fair enough, during Easter, this period, beyond just celebrating and sharing rice and chicken, or showing, or basically just being happy that it's holiday, the essence of the celebration in it and moving forward, just in summary.
I think it carries a similar message, nothing completely different from the message that comes with the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, which is about sacrifice, piety, love, togetherness, unity, tolerance. You see, religion is supposed to make us respect. So for this Easter holiday, I think the message is consistent. It remains the same. And that's even Christ-like, if you ask me, Lady Mo. Because again, in the Bible, Christ was described as a resilient, selfless, tolerant,
Right.
A man that shared love, that preached love and tolerance. So I think that's the message for me, really, and it has always been consistent.
A leader or leadership should be a call to service, and not necessarily, imposing because you are the leader and then you give your order and then you give what you think is right, and not necessarily taking the people, serving the people, and knowing the mind of what the people that you are even leading, so to say. In regards to leadership,
there's also something about leadership, right? And that's why I talked about sacrifice, selflessness, the commitment to humanity. You understand what I'm saying? To do to the people. Leadership is also about accountability.
Right.
Lady Mo, how accountable are you as a leader? The leader that was accountable to them, he led and was extremely accountable to his followers. So, again, messages are always about. It depends on who takes what and how it is interpreted. The messages have always been there. How I wish we can follow and uphold these messages. Probably we'll have better society today. But again,
of course, the commencement, that signals the commencement of Trends on the Papers on Mela 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Side forward. Once again, beautiful morning to you and happy holidays. From the Punch newspaper, let's start from the power sector and the different commitments or different promises that we have been getting so far. The Punch newspaper is capturing, giving update on the epileptic electricity, saying that Now, during the 6th edition of the 2025 ministerial press briefing series that was held yesterday in Abuja, the federal government has reviewed the plans to aid as part of the effort to boost renewable energy adoption and expand the national grid. And it also disclosed that it targets to generate and distribute about 8,000 megawatts of electricity before the end of President Bola Tinubu's first term in office in 2027. According to the Minister of 100 megawatts of electricity, enabling states to become more energy independent and reducing reliance on the national grid. And he also stated that the government earlier that the northern region recently had to face challenges with a stable power supply due to a surge in vandalism and theft of critical transmission infrastructure. Precisely last October, we had reports of vandals destroying the important 330 kV Shiroro-Kaduna power line that supplies the state of Kano and Kaduna, and other line that supplies Bauchi, Gombe, and other parts of the northeast, and that definitely led to blackouts. It's called for diversification of energy to ensure improved electricity supply. But speaking at the event yesterday to update there is no region that the country cannot achieve utility scale solar power generation. Hence, the introduction of the 1,900 megawatts from solar or solar generation that would also help the national grid, so that we don't have the whole bulk of power generation from the national grid, and it won't affect when we have challenged 1,000 megawatt target as realistic, noting that power generation has already improved. According to him, with this present administration by about 40 megawatts in the third quarter of 2023 to 5,700 megawatts specifically in the last quarter of 2025, peaking at 5,800 megawatts. And he also highlighted that while the current administration added 1,700 megawatts in just over a year, and also credited the recent progress to President Tinubu's support and expressed confidence that the statement about 150 million Nigerians having access to adequate electricity as at the time, and almost 80 million still lack reliable power supply, but giving hope. And he also calling on the partnership from private sectors to also invest in electricity forward. I wanted to give your achievements or the promises before the end of the first term, which is saying that we're going to get 8,000 megawatts before the end of the first term of the present administration moving forward. Now, how realistic that is, and the improvement the power supply had been getting so far in this administration. I want to also connect so that you can just have that the power sector, so that we don't have the analysis in isolation, that Gencos will be getting 2 trillion naira pledge from federal government to avert blackouts. Recall that we talked about the 4 trillion naira debt package would rescue the country's embattled power generation companies, which is the Gencos, and forestall shutdown of the national grid. What are your thoughts?
Well, I listened carefully yesterday to the Minister of Power, Minister Adelabu. And like you highlighted in the two reports from the Punch newspaper and from the achievement of this administration in the power sector, the minister has told us that, look, we've been able to move from the 4,000 megawatts to around 6,000 megawatts. Basically talking about the addition of a 1.7 thousand megawatts, picking at about 5.8. So approximately we can be talking at around 6,000 megawatts. I think Nigerians now have access to adequate power supply, leaving behind just about 80 million Nigerians without adequate of Nigerians now have access to adequate power. Again, these are the estimations of the national grid efforts that have been made or that are being done to ensure that collapse. But I was waiting for him to address the fact that, look, we probably in the last 1 year, we've had a record grid collapses. Sorry.
I was just reiterating the power glitch. Glitches.
They call it glitch, they call it strip off, they call it whatever name, but, you know, electricity to Nigeria. So he's saying what the administration intends to achieve is to make power not only available, but also affordable to Nigerians. And I understand that the word affordable is relative. What is affordable to you in the moment might not be affordable to me.
Of course, depending on the purchasing power.
Depending on, you know, interpretations, your income level and what have you, social status and standing. Now the question is this, Lady Mo, and I wish that some of these questions were asked the Minister of Power. This 6,000 megawatts is talking about at what cost? Because again, this is probably the most expensive it has gotten for Nigerians to have access to electricity. Lady Mo, people are groaning. People placed on band A as if you want to be completely unfortunate as a customer, be on band A and also on estimated billing at the same time. That's double jeopardy for you. Even if look with band A, estimated billing, that one I die. That one are complete debt. You know? So, and you have a situation where the service obligations to even the band A customers are not being met across board. Ask a lot of band A customers if they are getting the 20 hours that have been promised to them consistently without excuses. So, and that's why you see that there are still questions around this class system that has been introduced into the electricity sector by this government. How did they arrive at what they call a cost-reflective tariff, the 209.5 that band A customers are paying? A lot of businesses are shutting, I must tell you. They might not have paid attention to it. And gasping for breath. You know, so I think the outlook for this government is, look, this is what we want and this is what we'll continue to get. For banks, you might say, oh, they are not paying what they are really supposed to pay, but the little they are paying or whatever they are paying, it is difficult to look. I'm sure if you open up the phone lines now for people, for example, to talk about their experience in the power sector. Now, he also talked about the national grid. Look, I was hoping that he was going to come up with a model that would talk about how to unbundle the national grid. Also, he has talked about solar panels, solar whatever farms and what have you.
And do you see that?
Alternative sources. Yes.
You see that?
The whole power sector was inundated by conversation around Siemens, the Siemens deal. Where we are on that deal, nobody knows. We terminated the deal. Are we proceeding with it? If you remember, that was the deal that led to the death. God said that, look, the Siemens deal was supposed to be about power transmission, power transformers, all manner of things. That was the conversation then. It was even as if that would be. What are we doing, for example, to eliminate estimated billing? How do we ensure that we meter will be made to pay for what they have not used? And that it was a period of bye-bye, to be a period of complete goodbye to estimated billing. A lot of Nigerians are still on estimated billing. I believe is little wins. Things that, look, moving from 4 to 6,000 megawatts is a big deal. And the projection of 8,000 megawatts by the end of the year is a remarkable achievement. It talks about 40-something years of not being able to do anything major. But at the end of the day, at what cost? And whether we should at this time be talking about for what they are paying for. They are not getting the value for what they are paying for.
All right. Put ourselves to the call of duty that we do not pay lip service, like even the power sector had said that previous administration have been paying lip service to the power sector.
They have been paying lip service.
All right, that's to be found on page 2 in the Punch newspaper, and likewise on page 3 in the Guardian newspaper. You get more details to that very story. And we have according to them, the country is bleeding and the father, so to say, of the house is not around. The Punch newspaper is capturing that the response that Tinubu, working remotely from overseas, returns after the state from Europe despite being outside the country for nearly 2 weeks. And it also said that the president will return. That's on Monday, April 21, after the Easter holidays. The statement was signed yesterday by the special advisor on information and strategy, that's Bayo Onanuga, explaining that the president who traveled from Paris to London at the weekend remained. People have been talking about, school of thoughts have been, criticizing and talking about, is the president even so concerned about what is going on in the country while he's even away? He's not meant to be away the country. And saying that it is absent the Easter holiday, which will end on Monday, 21st of April, had criticized and questioned Tinubu's absence while the country grapples, has been grappling with heightened insecurity. And the presidency is saying that, well, he has been giving direct to the affairs of the country. Fuad, what do you think?
Anyways, again, the presidency has told us that the president, and I don't know whether this is still about the working visit.
Working visits?
It's still working visits. Okay. Yes. So now from Paris to London, we can begin to live in denial and deceive ourselves about this thing. But this is the visit, like I told you yesterday. Every other work of a president starts with, the ability of the president to guarantee them. And still on the working visit, and it is clear as daylight that the Nigeria as it is grappling with, unbelievable. You may not really know how deep this problem is. But for people, relatives who stay in these places, engage them. If you have friends who stay in this, and if the presidency is telling us that, the president is still in touch, he's been giving directives, the question is, the directives he has been given, have we seen anything stopping? Has it helped the situation? How effective has the directives been? There are also people who have said that, just after this administration was voted into power, before they were sworn in, the former governor from the Northeast who understood, the challenges of insecurity, insurgency, and what have you, that if we are going to, since it's going to be a consistent pattern, because it's already looking like it, that the president would always have to leave the country for a working visit. So there's somebody who does not just give directives, but who is also here on ground to ensure that the directives are carried out to the letter anywhere and governed. It does not mean anything. We won't tell you that even if it's about his health, it doesn't need to. About hypocrisy. When I see people who are extremely hypocritical about this thing, I just laugh. I was telling you yesterday, critical of the Jonathan administration. When the Chibok girls were abducted, the level of insecurity in the Northeast, he didn't know what he was doing. He doesn't have a handle. In fact, if there was one reason why Jonathan was voted out of power. But today, the same people that vilify Jonathan, that criticize Jonathan heavily for the level of insecurity in the Northeast, are the people telling you that no, when it comes to the killing in the north central part of the country, another funny, ridiculous narratives to want to justify this level of inanity. They tell you that there was a governor somewhere in North State that solved one. If you are comparing apples with oranges, just to justify, look, governance is deliberate, it's intentional, Lady Mo. For even more important things, some of them 1-2 days, they cut short the visit, they come back home. So you think those kinds of presidents cannot be giving directives to? But they understand what it means to be on ground. To be on the governors. It is today that they don't call out the president for the insecurity in the country. It is the problem of the governor.
Show us the video of him engaging the so-called foreign investors while he's away. While he was in France, they showed you a meeting. Just by an elevator like this of one man, they called one, I don't even know the position. And I don't know. Because again, when you say this thing, they say you don't like your country. This emergency patrons who are just deceiving themselves. Leadership is deliberate.
and it is consistent with the best practices. You don't pick the most ridiculous practices when it comes to leadership to justify misgovernance. We are saying that it is wrong for the president to be away while his house is burning. That's what we are saying. But they've told you that, okay, it can be anywhere. But what we are remarking is there to secure the lives and properties of Nigerians. Today, no, you can't, President Tinubu will be in case with our governor.
We need to quickly move administration. The Punch, okay, that very story is on page 28 in the Punch newspaper and also on page 6 in the Guardian newspaper. And of course, across all others are rejecting the Southwest. Gani Adams had kicked against the push to introduce Sharia law in parts of the Southwest, and warning that such a move could destabilize the region and threaten Nigeria's already fragile pluralism. This was during the international virtual conference of the was presided over by Gani Adams. And the communique stressed that regional autonomy and restructuring should remain the only viable path to ensuring peaceful coexistence and sustainable development in Nigeria rather than that. And participants had been maintaining that if the political class continued to resist calls for true federalism, Gani Adams condemned the efforts to implement the Sharia law in Yoruba territory, describing them as a ploy to weaponize religion for political purposes. And he also warned that such moves could fuel unrest and emboldened extremist tendencies in the region. And the conference also issued out several key recommendations, which includes a call for comprehensive grassroots governance, stressing that any religious court system must remain voluntary, civil in nature, and operates within the bounds of human rights laws. And also speaking at the event, Professor Olu, he warned that recent attempts to institutionalize political Sharia in the region represented a cultural offensive rather than a spiritual revival. And he cautioned that the unrest he talked about posed significant risk to cultural identity and national unity. And also echoing the view, Professor Kolawole Rahim, to be precise, that's the technical advisor of the must not override Nigeria's secular legal framework or infringe on others' rights. Why do you align with this? Because we've had and all of that back and forth of that. Do you align with?
Comes a lot of deliberate misinformation and distortion of facts. Again, we are at a period where there's a level of this high level of about something that is not so problem. It's not expected to be so problematic to see people making big issues out of it. Again, when this issue of a Sharia arbitration panel came up, we had to take our time to really dig into the matter, whether it was about introduction of Sharia law into the southwestern part of the country. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a difference.
Okay.
An arbitration panel, for example, look at the word arbitration panel. It's arbitration. Whatever happens at that panel is not even binding legally. It's just a way of settling your issue, dispute, out of the regular court, using the Muslim law to say, okay, and I told you about it. So I understand why there's this level of distrust, why we have this misinformation and what have you. Because again, it's gotten to the point where we have this high level of religious intolerance. But I told you, Lady Mo, that look, the religion of Islam, for example, a way of life, because there's hardly anything about your life that you are looking for answers for that you don't get in the religion. Look, as small as how to brush your teeth, there's an explanation in Islam on how to go about it. I'm telling, as simple as, you don't know how to brush your teeth. What does Islam say about the way to brush your teeth? There's something either in the Quran, either in the Hadith, in the religious books of Islam that will explain it to you. So that is what Sharia is also supposed to be about. What does religion say about this, about that? As a Muslim, I cannot be forced to go and resolve an issue even at that panel, because it's not a regular court. And I've told you there are different arbitration panels too, which are not even related to Sharia. So a Sharia arbitration panel is different from the entrenchment of a Sharia law in the Southwest. Entrenchment of Sharia law in the Southwest for me is a no, because it is a circular state.
All right.
An arbitration panel for me should not be problematic because it is about the people who decide to go to the panel. It's not nobody can be forced to go to the panel. It's an arbitration panel. 3, to go before the panel to resolve their issues. The law for me, like I told you, should ask me as a Muslim and as a Nigerian and somebody from the Southwest, it's a no, because of the delicate nature of how religion has been for us as a people in this conversation.
All right, Fuad, thank you very much. That very story is on page 10 in the Punch newspaper. Strengths in the papers on Mila 96.3 FM, The Sound of Lagos. Join us on Facebook and YouTube at Mila 96.3 FM. You can do that. Away from that, the Punch newspaper is also reporting. Yesterday, we had a unity rally coming together, and according to the Punch newspaper, Ganduje is saying that APC is vowing to express confidence that the ruling party will win the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, in the 2027 general election. And according to him, he said the APC will win not only in the presidential representative seats in the FCT, and while he was speaking yesterday, he also received, he now had over 60% of the FCT under its control, guaranteeing a resounding victory, which our municipal area council, that's Christopher Kalangu. And according to the APC, Megotula Pabio, at the unity rally that was held yesterday in Abuja, Ganduje addressed, the crowd, saying that, the Thursday's political by the Deputy Senate President Jibril Barau, praising the defectors for their decision to join the APC, commending President Bola Tinubu's administration. We also had former Kogi State Governor Yaya Bello declaring that there is no vacancy in the Aso Rock presidential villa in 2027, that President Bola Tinubu, stating President Bola Tinubu will overwhelmingly be re-elected to continue the good work and all of that.
They are leaders of the APC, and their job is to, I'm sure they are not talking about governance now, it's just our party politics. So, and there's nothing wrong in the chairman of the party saying that, look, they are going to win more seats, one thing. Paying attention to what the chairman of the APC is saying. Against all expectations, the Labour Party was able to pick only the senatorial seat in Abuja. In fact, the APC struggled. They were not able to get a 25% in Abuja in the last election. Work on. That's what the chairman is saying. Forget it, to come the next election, we are taking that seat, and the 2 out of red seats in the FCT. So these are just politicians issuing statements, getting the list of their worry is the performance of the government. What they are just thinking about is how to win the next election and take more seats, more senatorial seats, and what have you. So, that's just a clear thinking of the average politician, and I don't think there's anything wrong in that thought process.
All right, that you also get in the Punch newspaper. Away from that, let me just quickly read S&P Global, page 24, as that story. El-Rufai deserves fair treatment after supporting Tinubu to restore security as gunmen raid home. Page 28 also captured that, and she had also reacted to that, saying find her. And also from the Makinde meet over Oyo-Osun border tensions. Page 12 captures that from the Punch. Just quickly, The Guardian is capturing a story on the allocation or sharing formula that the federal government, state and local governments share 1.57 committee has announced the disbursement of 1.578 trillion. The FAAC's April 2025 meeting, which was chaired by the Minister of Grassroots, total revenue of 2.411 trillion naira, comprising gross statutory revenue, the value-added tax, VAT, electronic money transfer levy, and exchange difference. The Financial Ministry disclosed this, and according to the ministry, the federal government and local government councils got 387.002 billion naira, and oil producing states received 132.611 billion naira as 13% derivation revenue in the face of the non-compliance of the autonomy given to the local government, which, even the local government councils chairmen have been reporting reporting the stumbling block. Men are accusing the governors of forestalling the implementation of the autonomy, coming to or giving an agreement directly from the CBN. Fuad, what are your thoughts?
Well, the local government autonomy conversation is now that entirely.
Right.
Almost a year after the Supreme Court judgment, we are still not able to implement that judgment to them, not through the governors again. Look at where we are. We are still struggling. In the same vein, we also have the same federal government that pushed for that Supreme Court judgment to free the local government from governors and any form of illegality when it comes to appointment of caretaker chairman and what have you fucking elected doing now. It's in contradiction to the Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy. But again, another conversation for another day. But this report is very simple. Again, for the month of March, the three levels through the sharing formula are actively. I've also gotten about 500 and something billion naira, while the remaining 36 states have shared just something close to what the federal government has gotten. So, month in, month out, Lady the figure tells you that, look, a larger chunk of the money we made, if you look, okay, read out the sharing formula again. What has been shared?
All right, let me quickly get to that. Okay. Just in 528.6.7 billion naira.
For the federal government alone, yeah.
Yes, the 36 states received 528, yes.
So it tells you that, look, the federal government still takes, but if you share that among 36 states, again, the South are remaining for the local government. So what I'm saying is that the reality is that these monies have been coming, consistently now, over $1 trillion has been shared. It's never bad. The government will tell you that, more monies are going to the subnational. The argument of the governor is that, yes, more money on the living standards of the people.
Right.
That's the question. Because I heard the story today and it was just about figures. But what has changed? Our debt profile keeps increasing and still poorly run. You still have a huge infrastructure deficit. Most of these monies at the end of the day still ends up in funny, shady contracts. And so at the end of the day, this money keeps coming every month. We share this money.
That definitely is the question in the mind of every Nigerian in the country. Fuad Said, our time is fast spent. Thank you very much for your perspective as always. The sound of Lagos. So we're back for Mainland Focus. Stay locked.